Hi, and welcome to this vocabulary lesson because we are going to look at synonyms, collocations in context, and words that belong in the word family. I hope you'll stick around with me every single day, learn these 3,000 words with me. Closely. Closely. All right. So we have been talking about adverbs for a long time. Adverbs have two purposes. One is they modify other verbs or they tell how something is done. So when you're talking about adverbs, you want to think about how is it done or what is the method, okay? They also modify adjectives. For example, if something is closely related, then it means that it is near in relation to. Related is an adjective in that sentence. He is closely related to me. That means that he is maybe my brother or my cousin. He's somewhere close, maybe my husband, closely related. So we are going to get into the collocations that go with closely as well as how it fits into our language. But understand that when we're talking about adverbs, and most of our adverbs end in an ly, we are talking about the method or how something is doing. We can also use adverbs to set a stage or a backdrop for a situation. And I've talked about that in other videos. I'll probably talk about it in this video too, or show you an example. The word closely comes from close. So these two people are emotionally close. They might be husband and wife. They might be closely related. Okay? They are also standing closely to each other. How are they standing? They're standing closely. That means not far apart, right next to each other. Near, next to, those would be some meanings of closely, nearly. So if I always ask my son how he's doing with his schoolwork, are you done with that assignment yet? He says nearly. That tells me he is not done with it, but he's almost done with it. So nearly can have this almost. Closely can also have this almost meaning nearly, but it usually means next to or in close proximity. The detective looked closely at the fingerprints before making a conclusion. Okay, to look closely at something means to pay great attention to it and to really look at the details. The detective looked closely at the fingerprints. The two companies worked closely together on the project. That means that they were in constant contact. To work closely means you are in sync. You are together working each step of the project. Scientists are closely monitoring the volcano for signs of activity. That means they're watching every move that the volcano is making. Her new novel is closely based on her childhood experiences. All right, so this is a passive construction. Her new novel is based on her childhood experiences. I add the word closely here between the helping verb and the base verb. And this is where most adverbs go. And it adds a dimension to the verb. It doesn't mean that it's completely based. It's almost based. It's closely based on her childhood experiences. Maybe 95% of her childhood experiences are reflected in the novel. Her new novel is closely based on her childhood experiences. I want to say something about the passive voice here. We use the passive voice in an interesting way in English. We use it to remove the creator. So notice in this sentence, it doesn't say who she is. That's not important. What's important is the novel and the childhood experiences. But neither of those can be doers. They can't be action subjects. They receive the action. Even her new novel received the action of being written. We're kind of removing the creator from this. We do this when we talk about mothers having children, because usually a child is born. That is a very common passive sentence. Or we would say the doctor delivered the child, the mother's not even present in that sentence. even though the mother did all the work. Sometimes if we want to emphasize the creation and de-emphasize the creator, we might say the new novel that she wrote was based on her childhood experiences. That still allows the creator of whatever happened to be in the sentence, but we are not emphasizing it. Her new novel is closely based on her childhood experiences. We know the author is female. We don't care who it is. What we really care about is that it's related closely to her childhood experiences. The brothers were closely bonded despite living in different countries. This is an emotional closeness that we're talking about here. They talk a couple of times a week. They have a lot of interests that are the same. They are emotionally close. Some very common collocations with closely are closely related. For example, Spanish and Portuguese are closely related languages. They're both Latin-based languages. Closely resemble, the replica closely resembles the original painting. My daughter closely resembles me. That means they look very similar. Closely guarded secret. This one's an interesting one. The launch date remained a closely guarded secret. That means that the people who know keep that information very close to them and they don't show it to other people. Closely follow. Investors closely follow interest rate announcements. So to closely follow something means to pay close attention, be interested in every movement, to closely follow. You can also closely follow physically if maybe you're this person and the person who is closely following you is right here and just stays really close. Closely matched. The two teams were closely matched in skill. This means that they had very similar levels of skill, and so it's probably going to be an interesting game. We don't know who's going to win. It's a toss-up. The opposite of closely would be distantly. The noun of close, there is no noun. Every time I try to think of a noun, it comes out to be the close kind of close, and close means something completely different. They are written exactly the same, close and close, but close means to shut or to connect it, and there is a noun for that. It would be closure. However, that's not the same meaning as close, which means to be next to. So I'm going to say there's no noun and no verb because the verb would be close. The adjective is close and the adverb is closely. Closely. I really hope that you enjoyed this word. Research shows that if you know 3,000 words, then you can pretty much say anything you need to say. I hope I'll see you tomorrow, and please like and subscribe.